systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
Going on, YouTube family, SHIPIT Nation. We're back on the SHIPIT Nation station, as Tambo likes to say over here. It's Sunday, little Sunday day baseball. It's always fun in these streets. Hoop. You kind of end the weekend with some day baseball. Enjoy some time outside. I know the weather's beautiful here in the Midwest. Already out on the golf course this morning, hitting the golf course again, but we had to come pick some winners first. Hoop, how's your weekend? How's the kids' baseball rolling? How we doing?
Yeah, so far so good. Baseball's a little bit of a break here, a couple weeks, and then it finishes pretty strong at the end of June going into July. So we're kind of chilling a little bit, just some practice. Going to do a little bullpen session with him here after MLB lock. And, the weather's beautiful, like you said, out on the lake for a little bit yesterday. Perfect weather. I mean, it's, nice and toasty during the day, cools off in the evening when the sun goes down. If you want to have a little bit of a bonfire, have some drinks. It's perfect weather right now in the Midwest, like you said. But we have a full baseball slate, like you said in the opening, and 10 games here. Pretty solid. We have a lot of pitching and a lot of offense, a lot of different ways to go on both ends, a lot of different ways to go with your pitchers, a lot of different ways to go with your bats today. So makes it fun for MLB DFS. Two things, obviously, switched over to this new YouTube channel. So make sure you hit the subscribe button when you come in. I'm going to do a little, I guess we'll do a little giveaway type thing. So I bet we did it on the last show and it hit hard. All right. Me and Tambo did the round 3 show on the Mayo Media Network. And during the show, I said, listen, if we get to X amount of subscribers on our YouTube channel, I'll give away one play. Got to the X amount of numbers, gave away the play. The play was Keegan Bradley, who went 7 under yesterday, and you needed him to win. So what we'll do today, we're at 669. Okay, I'm gonna get a little aggressive with it. Get us to 700. You get to the 700 subscriber number here on this YouTube channel, and I'll give away my main play for today. It's 1 for 1 in doing this. Keegan Bradley got the job done yesterday for us. The bat's going to hit a home run today. I'm telling you, the guy I picked. So get us up to 700, we'll get that winner for you at the end of the show.
Yeah, I mean, you read my mind, Hoop. I refreshed it right before the show. We were sitting at 669. Very good number, but I was thinking if we can get to 700 subscribers by the end of the show, I will bring the double dong call back. It's been a little cold as of late. Our tools over here have not been cold. That's one nice thing about that. The tools are always scorching hot over here. So little housekeeping at the top here. We do appreciate the like button, subscribe button. Obviously, if you guys are new, all of our free channels, free shows, which 99% of our shows over at SHIPIT Nation are brought to you free. So we appreciate your support over here on the YouTube channel. We have one premium show right now going on, and that's Hoop and Tambo on the premium golf side for Wednesdays. Every other show, 6 days a week for MLB. We bring the show free to you guys, so we do appreciate the support. Like button, subscribe would be great. Let's get to 700, and we'll give you a little something. And when we do get to 1,000, we are going to do an actual giveaway, whether it's a ticket, whether it's a free roll, something for someone lucky in the chat. So we appreciate everyone stopping in on this Sunday morning. Got a 10-game slate on tap, Hoop. Let's jump right in, see if we can keep this show right around an hour. Less is more, as we like to say over here. So, Hoop, pitchers, let's go 9K and above. We got 5 guys here. Sandy looking like the chalk of the slate, sitting right there at 9K. Pretty nice price tag, but we were talking a little bit before show. This lineup is probably about the best lineup Oakland can roll out. Not saying much. It's still the Athletics, but take Sandy all the way up top to Evaldi. About $2,000 difference between those two guys. Touch on that, and then touch on any other interest you got in between.
Yeah, Sandy Alcantara is obviously the main talking point at the pitcher position. He's going to be extremely highly owned, like you said, probably 40% range, maybe more depending on the contest that you're in. The reason he's so popular, the price tag sitting at 9K, and the matchup obviously versus the Oakland A's, where a lot of pitchers have had a ton of success. So it definitely makes sense. I will be playing him. If you're doing 150, I want to get exposure to other guys. If you're doing 20, I want to get exposure to other guys. So it's not like an all-in play for me. I mean, you look at it, he really hasn't been that great this season in terms of simple fantasy points. I mean, you look at it, his last 4 games, 6, 15, 10, 17. That's not going to be enough on the slate. I mean, it's definitely not. I think there's pitchers that get way up there. Again, I bring it up almost every show. There's certain slates where we're just looking to get by a pitcher. Give us 35 fantasy points, we'll take it and run. To me, this is a slate I think we're looking to be into the 40s. So you're going to need 40 fantasy points between your 2 pitchers, more likely than not. So I do see the case to be off of Alcantara or underweight, but I'll be, I don't know, when I build my teams, I am doing 150 today. I'll probably be maybe right around the field on him. Senga I think is interesting at 9.3. Should come in much, much lower owned. He's had 30 fantasy points in 2 out of his last 3 games. So there's big time upside here with him. I'll have exposure there. Miller's the guy I'll be off at 9.9 just because it can't play everyone. Got to kind of pick your spots. Fine being off of him against the Rangers. Then the 2 guys up top I think are very interesting. Eovaldi would be my preference between him and Joe Ryan, but I think they're both in play here today. A lot of people are going to try to start at 9K. They're not going to want to come up here. So I think we see lower ownership. I'm not sure what the sites are showing. Let's just see what I have here in terms of ownership. So I don't know, 12 to 15 for Eovaldi, and then Joe Ryan, same range. So I think it could even be, I think it could be on the lower range of that, like closer to, 10, 11, 12, probably around 12 seems pretty fair for these guys. I'll make sure in my 150 to be overweight on these 2 guys, Eovaldi, Ryan. Definitely prefer Eovaldi over Ryan, but I do want some exposure to both. So I'm going to play a lot of these guys up top. Miller is the one that I'll be out on.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of right there with you. It's very easy to just say, hey, I'm gonna leave $2,000 on the table, right, and click Sandy over Eovaldi. Personally, I'm out on Sandy here. You brought it up. It's a 10-game slate. If I can pick holes right in the chalkiest guy on the slate in terms of pitchers, I'll do that. I mean, this Oakland team, just about a 24% strikeout rate, which is pretty high, right? It's up there, but I mean, Sandy this year is operating on a 21% K rate, right? So he hasn't been incredible. He's going to be 40% owned, and I think there's pitchers up in this range and a pitcher right below him that can outscore him and match him at a lower ownership, and that's kind of just how I like to play. So I'm actually going to be out on Sandy. I wouldn't fault anyone, especially in 150. I would definitely have some exposure to him because he does have the upside to break the slate. But Hoop, you mentioned it. I mean, he hasn't been incredible, and at that ownership, I'm just okay going elsewhere. Senga's interesting to me, but this Blue Jays team on the road against right-handed pitching has crushed the ball. I mean, expected ISO approaching 200, K rate of under 24%. And we know the deal with Senga, right? He was locked in the last 2 starts. We talked about him on the show. If he can limit his walks, right, he has the upside. But Toronto's a pretty patient team, I think. And, I mean, this lineup that they rolled out is very nice, especially 1 through 6. So I think he's going to struggle here to get through it. So I'm out on Senga there. Bryce Miller, I can't do it. I'm not attacking Texas at home. We saw what Texas did yesterday, especially against right-handed pitching. I mean, they just murdered the ball. So I'm not paying $9,900 for Bryce Miller, but I do have 2 guys up at the top that I have interest in. I would much prefer Eovaldi. I think Eovaldi is my top guy in this range, but you are paying for it, 11K. And then I do think Joe Ryan has upside here. The only issue is man, I just hate playing pitchers against this Guardians team. I did it yesterday, and I was kicking myself the entire time. I was torn on who was it yesterday for the Twins? Hoop, I forget his name, but he was right around the same price range as Yu Darvish. And I went back and forth, and obviously I chose him against the Guardians, and I watched the entire game, and they just do not strike out. 0-2 count, 1-2 count. So many times they just throw their hands at it, hit a little lousy base hit through the hole, start stealing bases. So I do have some hesitation on Joe Ryan, but Joe Ryan is obviously the Twins' best pitcher in my opinion, and I do think he has upside. I mean, he's got a 30% K rate on the year, so I do think he has upside there. It's just this Guardians team, they're just pesky, man. They just put the ball in play, and at that price tag, especially on this slate, you need the K upside. So much prefer Eovaldi. Joe Ryan would be my second favorite, and then I would go probably Sandy in this range. But again, I'm playing two teams here, and I probably won't have any Sandy. So that's where I'm at in this range, Hoop. Let's break it down. Let's go to the next range. Let's go 7K up to 8,800, and then we'll hit on the cheap range at the end. So I got JP France, Blackburn, Lively, Kikuchi, McKenzie, Kopech, and Taj Bradley there at the top. Any interest in this range? I know one guy's going to draw probably 25 to 30% ownership in Kopech against your Tigers there. Mm-hmm. I have some interest personally in him. I know you do. Talk on that, and then talk on anyone else in this range.
Yeah, the guy yesterday was Sonny Gray. I think it was like 2 strikeouts, and they just got a ton of hits against them, the Indians. So it definitely can be frustrating, no doubt about it. Need to see is the Indians lineup out yet? I don't think it's out yet. No, but curious to see. I mean, I'm sure they roll out their standard lineup. In this range, yeah, Kopech is a phenomenal play, 8.5K, and that's why I think a lot of people don't get up to those top tier pitchers, specifically Joe Ryan and Eovaldi, because they'll settle down here. They can find a 9K guy in Alcantara that they really like. They got an 8.5 guy in Kopech, and there's some cheaper dudes as well that are in play. But Kopech's phenomenal play at home against this Tigers team. 2 out of his last 3 games have been monsters, 36, 41. Angels only 17 fantasy points. That's not bad. 17, you take that. So for me, 3 straight very solid games, 2 extremely, extremely solid games at home against this Tigers team. Yes, the Tigers team can be somewhat pesky. I know a lot of people like using that term, but it's still a not good lineup overall. So in on Kopech for sure. And then the other guy in this range that I'll be playing is France at 7K flat. He's been good. I mean, he's been pretty darn good at home here. Decent sized favorite against the Angels. You know the story here. Just have to avoid those 2 big bats for the Angels, which obviously very tough to do. But if you can work past Trout and Ohtani, could have some success here. So I'm in on him at 7K. But yeah, in this range, just those 2 for me.
Yeah, I'm in lockstep with you in this range. I'm probably going to start my teams with Kopech here. I just think the upside's there. I'm not as scared of this Detroit team. And overall, I just think he has the upside to match those guys at the top at a cheaper price point. So I'm fine starting there. Taj Bradley is slightly interesting. I just hate playing pitchers against Red Sox when the game is in Fenway. Great hitting conditions there. And we know the deal with these Rays pitchers. They're not afraid to yank them early, but he is going to be low owned. He does have upside. I mean, he's got a 34% K rate on the year, expected ERA at 2.77. And the only issue is these Red Sox have a 17% K rate. So I'm probably out on him. Tristan McKenzie, I do want to bring up here. This is an interesting talking point here. McKenzie has made 3 rehab starts, has 13 strikeouts across 10 innings pitched so far, went 3 innings last start. So, I mean, his pitch count, he's not going to go out there and throw 100 pitches, but it's a matchup thing for me. This Twins team, 26% K rate against right-handed pitching at home. I just did it yesterday with Logan Allen. I attacked the same team. Tristan McKenzie, I have faith in this guy. He's got a pretty good projection over here for us. Across the industry, he's got a healthy projection. The only issue is, I mean, he's 8,100. There's a little bit of unknown there how long he's going to pitch. But I think I won't be surprised if they roll him out there and let him go 4 or 5 innings here. I think he can pick up 6 or 7 strikeouts against this lineup. I mean, the back half of this lineup, Willie Castro, Farmer, and Taylor all strike out over 30% clip. Even Buxton striking out close to 30%. I know Buxton is a scary, feared hitter, right, in that lineup for good reasons. He's got incredible power, but he does strike out. Jorge Polanco hit a leadoff bomb last night or yesterday against Logan Allen, and then Allen settled in and came. So I think McKenzie can do the same. He's going to have minimal ownership in this range at 8,100. I think he makes some sense. And then the only other guy in this range that I have interest in, you brought it up, JP France, kind of all the same reasons you do. The Angels do have a 25% K rate against right-handed pitching on the road this year. Yeah, I get it. At the top of the lineup, you got Ohtani, Mike Trout, probably going to hit 1-2 or 2-3. Scary hitters, right? For sure. And then Mickey Moniak, pretty solid hitter as well. But, I mean, the K upside up and down this lineup is there, I think, especially on the back half. So at 7K, I do think France has upside. So for me in this range, it's Kopech number 1. I'm going to go Tristan McKenzie number 2. And then down at the bottom, I'm going to go JP France. Hoop, let's touch on the rest of these hitters or these pitchers, excuse me. All the way, I mean, we got Brady Singer all the way at 5,400 and take it all the way up to Tanner Houck at 6,800. We talked a little bit. I'm seeing a decent amount of 15 to 20% ownership on Mr. Ranger Suarez down there at 5,700. I may have talked you into a little pivot there. We'll see if you like what I was talking about before the show. Any other interest in this range, Hoop?
Yeah, for me in this range, it's just going all the way down to the bottom. There's not much difference between these upper 6 guys and the lower 5 guys. You talked about it with Suarez going to get some ownership. I don't think it's as high as some people are thinking. Like, there's just no way he gets all this ownership. There's like 5 viable pitchers up top, 4 or 5 viable pitchers up top. There's a couple mid-range guys. I don't think everyone's going to say, all right, Suarez is my guy that I got to have at 5.7K. So I'm going to plug my nose and play him. Like, we've tried this a couple times, I know, and it hasn't worked out. It hasn't worked out really at all, but 5.7K favored here, coming off a decent start against the Mets where he put up 15 fantasy points. I'm going to have some of him in my 150. Definitely not like a core piece or anything. Brady Singer pivot, pretty interesting. And to answer your question, you did sell me on him a little bit. I will have him in my player pool today for sure. Main reason is looking at this Rockies lineup. It's just not very good, like, at all. This lineup is pretty shitty today. Doyle, Profar, McMahon, Moustakas, Jones, and then it gets like disastrous at the bottom. So outside of Coors, a watered down Rockies lineup, I will have some Singer at 5.4. Nice thing about Singer, 3 out of his last 4 games have been pretty good. 14.5, 14 fantasy points, 15.3. Had the one game against Detroit where he kind of got rocked around, but 3 out of 4. If you can get us those 15, 16 fantasy points that we've seen in 3 out of the last 4, that's probably good enough on the slate. So going to play both of them, but yeah, I think I'm with you. I probably prefer Singer over Suarez, and then I'm not messing with any of these other guys.
Yeah, no, you hit on it, and I'm much more willing just to say I'm off of Suarez, especially at that ownership. I mean, this Nationals team strikes out at a 17.7% clip against left-handed pitching at home, and they kind of beat up everyone. I mean, they got to Wheeler, and I think Wheeler is light years ahead of Ranger Suarez. So I kind of got a sour taste in my mouth attacking this team a couple days ago with Zach Wheeler, and I'm not going to do it with Ranger Suarez, especially when I like a guy that's cheaper, much less ownership, and you save some salary. So I'm just going to keep picking on these Rockies outside of Coors Field. I did it yesterday, and everyone blew up in the Discord, myself included. I was a little frustrated, and he locked in and came back and got the job done. Outscored he outscored my main pitcher in Sonny Gray at a fraction of the cost there. So I do think Singer can come out here. I mean, this Rockies team has a 31% K rate against right-handed pitching on the road this year. I mean, the back half of that lineup is just disgusting. Montero, Tovar, Winans, even Nolan Jones is striking out at a 46% clip. I just think the K rate's up there, and at 5,400, I mean, you don't need much. He does what he's been doing against better lineups, 14, 15 DraftKings points at that price. I mean, you take that to the bank any day. If you could guarantee me 14 or 15 DraftKings points right now, I would lock him in 150 lineups. I'm just going to be honest with you. At that price, it allows you to go up for all the bats. There's a lot of good hitting conditions, a lot of high implied team totals on this slate. Some of those teams are expensive too to stack up for hoops. So it gives you the salary. Anyone else in this range, I can't do. Adrian Hauser is checking out pretty good on our stuff over here. I just not about to play a pitcher in that ballpark. I mean, super hot. Great American Small Park, as we like to call it. Runs have just been producing there, so I'm not about to play a pitcher, especially when I like a guy that's much cheaper. So I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom. Brady Singer is the only guy I have interest in this range, and I think we can move on. Hoop, let's go game by game. But first, if you guys are new, I know there's more viewers in here. If you guys are new, hit the subscribe button. If we get to 700, Hoop and I are each going to give you a play of the day, if you will. Hoop's play of the day yesterday was much needed in the showdown streets for round 3. Keegan Bradley, what do you go, 7 under yesterday, Hoop? So yeah. You don't want to miss the plays. I'll give you a little sneaky under the radar home run call here. And let's get to 700 subscribers. We started at 669. Also hit that like button if you guys are new. ShipItNation.com, $59 a month does get you access to all of our premium content, which has actually been printing over here. Hitter rankings, stack rankings, starting lineups page where you can build all your teams directly from one sheet, which I love personally. And then projections. I mean, we've had members been shipping every single day this week. And nice thing is, Hoop, if our cores don't hit, we don't just push cores, right? We're not just a core-oriented site. We got tools for self-service projections and just helping people make educated lineup decisions to put themselves in the best place in their contest to make money. So
certainly. Yeah. Just to add on to that point, which I think is very, very important. We don't have just like some random projections. Like this is our own. These are our own projections. We're not just taking that, going around the industry and seeing what people are saying and, okay, well, we'll just, adjust these numbers a little bit. These are ours. We have the system behind it. Hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, like you talked about, the starting lineup page that kind of encompasses everything for MLB. Yeah, we're human. We're not printing. Our cores aren't getting to the top of the leaderboard every single day. It's absolutely impossible. There's no way no one in the industry core is going to hit every single day, but we want to give you a chance to win outside of just following our picks and play. So that's why we have these tools. That's why we have the projections. That's why we have the advice in the Discord. So tons of different ways, encompasses absolutely everything that you need to be successful at DFS on a daily basis. Give yourself a chance to have that sweat at the end of the night. It's all here at ShipItNation.com. And like you said, I cut you off when you're going to the pricing, but it's $59 for the month, which gets you everything, or $5.99 annually, which is the cheapest all-in price in the industry. So it's a great time to join. Prices obviously will go up. This is still our introductory rate. They'll go up a little bit before football season. So make sure you get in now before that price increase kicks in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that price is ridiculous for all that's offered. And obviously you got the Discord as well. Tons of intelligent members in there. I mean, our guy AJ ships every night, it seems like, in the Discord. I see him in there with he's repping the logo too. So it's proven to ship when you slap that Ship It logo on there. So let's go game by game, Hoop. We got 10 games here. Got about 35 minutes or so to keep it under an hour on this Sunday morning here. Let's talk about Tampa Bay heading into Fenway here. About a 4.6 implied run total for the Rays. 4.4, 4.5-ish on the other side. So pretty healthy total on both sides here. And I'm looking at this Rays team, and they look pretty interesting to me in terms of these numbers here. And we've talked about it a lot, Hoop. People have kind of sold these Rays off a little bit here as of late. They haven't been great, but it's still a very talented lineup here. I like the lineup that they put out. Talk to me. What do you like here?
Yeah, it's an interesting team here. I mean, I imagine they come in, I don't know, like there's probably 5 teams that get more ownership than them on this slate, and that immediately grabs my interest. The only game with any sort of weather concern, they're going to play it. It's not an issue, but it does look like there's some rain later in the afternoon. They have to be super low owned, and they have just as much upside as anyone, and they're not even like their team total. It's not far off like the top team totals on the slate. So I think very interesting. The other thing working against them, they're relatively expensive. Like the bats are expensive. So in terms of ownership, everything working against them, they're going to come in low owned. I will make sure in my 150 to get some exposure. And the nice thing about this lineup, 1 through 9 in play. I mean, you can go all the way down. Siri, I know you like this guy. You've talked about him. Taylor Walls has popped up for some big games. Betancourt at catcher. So you can play everyone here. Those guys at the bottom are going to be virtually unowned, and they have upside. So I'm in on the Rays today. Well, it's not going to take much to get way over the field on them as well, which is nice. On the Red Sox side, yeah, I mean, I like this Taj Bradley guy. Can't play him just because like the pitch count stuff and whatnot, and I don't like taking pitchers against the Red Sox in Fenway. So I'll be off him, but I'll also be off the Red Sox lineup today. I mean, you can play Devers as a one-off, but yeah, it's kind of where I'm at here.
Yeah, you love to see this. Philly Phil in the chat uploaded his projections with our optimizer partnership over here with the solver. Made a couple things, and took 16th in the 121. You really love to see that. So we appreciate you, Phil, over here. And yeah, the one thing that Gator brought up in the chat here, Hoop, I just pulled up the weather, and it's not good here. 49 degrees, 10-mile, 11-mile-an-hour wind blowing in. So I don't know. I mean, that
is a good point. I didn't look at that temperature. I just figured it was hot everywhere. 49, geez. Everywhere else is like 80 to 90. Yeah, that is somewhat concerning. I'm not going to lie. Maybe I reverse course there on the old Tampa Bay team. That's another reason, though, they'll be super low owned, right?
Yeah, they're going to be very low owned, probably for a good reason here. 10-game slate here. Those hitting conditions, I didn't even realize that. So I appreciate you, Gator, in the chat. And no Wander Franco as well. And the lineup does hurt. I mean, Wander, a walk or a single turns into a double just about every time. I mean, the dude steals the base every time he touches first. So overall, I do think the Rays can have some upside, but it might give me a little bit more of a look here to Taj Bradley. I mean, you got pitching conditions like that, this Red Sox team, but I just don't think the strikeouts are there, to be honest, at the price tag. So I might just be off this game entirely, but some of these Rays bats are interesting. I mean, Jose Siri, Luke Raley, Josh Lowe all have incredible numbers against right-handed pitching on the road. And I mean, hey, especially the lefties, it's a pretty short porch over there in Red Sox, right down the line. We saw it with Yoshida earlier this week, wrapped one around the pole down right field line. It's pretty short there. So I do think some of these guys can still have upside. Definitely not a main stack with me or for me in any one of my lineups after looking at that weather. So Gator, I appreciate that. Hoop, let's jump into the next game here. And these Phillies are going to get quite a bit of ownership on this slate here. Very healthy implied run total. And they haven't been great, to say the least. They're facing Trevor Williams, allows about a 13% barrel rate. Expected ERA number is high, very low strikeout rate. Talk to me on these Phillies, and then any of these guys on the national sides against Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, I mean, it's been frustrating with the Phillies. Was it Friday night? They were like the super popular team, and it was all through one guy. Castellanos just went off. And I mean, luckily for myself, I did play him on my main team. I found a late pivot and ended up on him. So it worked out well. But yeah, they've been frustrated. It's just tough not to go back to them. Like Schwarber and Harper for sure. Really good spot. Turner's been frustrated basically all season long. But I got to be back on him here in a pretty big way against Trevor Williams. Especially on FanDuel, they're really, really cheap. Like they're all under 4K. Like Schwarber's close to 3K. Harper's under 4K. I just got to play these guys. I mean, if they suck again today, that's baseball. You move on. We find something tomorrow. But I'm on them. But, every team, I really want Schwarber and Harper because to me, those are the two that have the really, really good matchup. So I'll be pretty strict with that in my Philly stacks to make sure I have both those guys. Guys at the bottom, I mean, they're not great. Clemens, Alice at third base. My son's boy, Brandon Marsh. He has moved on, if you're wondering. Like, he's moved on from Marsh. Now he's with the big boys. He likes Ohtani and Trout and all those guys. So Marsh is a thing of the past. But I could play him, but I really wanted to focus on Schwarber and Harper. I do think the Nationals are an interesting stack. We talked about it. People are going to play Suarez today because of his price tag and this matchup. I don't mind getting some pieces here on the Nats. I mean, specifically, Joey Meneses, Lane Thomas, Stone Garrett, maybe more three-man stacks on teams where I'm fading Suarez. I think that's totally viable today. Get a catcher, Riley Adams, down there at 3.2K. Alex Call, 2.2K at the bottom. Played him last year a little bit towards the end of the season. He actually had some pretty big games, so I'm assuming there's some upside in there. But, yeah, I don't mind getting some exposure to the Nats as a leverage situation against Suarez.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you. The Phillies, for me, I mean, Kyle Schwarber, for your BVP truthers out there, 10 for 31 against Trevor Williams with 4 home runs, only 3 strikeouts. So there's a little bit more of an edge shoot for you to kind of push a guy over the top than Schwarber. And a little interesting note here. I know Trey Turner can't hit his way out of a wet paper bag right now, but he sees Trevor Williams pretty good. 5 for 13 with 3 bombs and only 2 strikeouts. So
that's nice.
Maybe today is the day. I mean, you're paying for it, and I got a shortstop that I love a lot. I'm probably going to go close to lock button on him at the shortstop position. But, I mean, today might be the day you get Trey Turner unowned, and he might do it. We know he has the talent. And Bryce Harper, I mean, we know the deal with Bryce Harper. The dude rakes against right-handed pitching. So I prefer these Phillies more as a mini stack personally. Schwarber, Castellanos, Bryce Harper, and I mean you can even include Trey Turner in there for your Philly stacks over on FanDuel. They will be extremely chalky on FanDuel just looking at these price tags. Obviously, we don't touch on FanDuel too much over here, but looking at these price tags, I mean you got almost $2,000 price differences across these players between the two sites. Obviously, salary structure, but right off the top, you can look at that. You can four-man these Phillies, play an expensive arm, and still four-man another high-priced team. So that tells you right there, Phillies are going to be mega chalk over on FanDuel, especially with that implied run total. On DraftKings, particular, I like these guys more as a mini stack. And on the flip side, the Nationals, your guy Alex Call, like you said down there, I mean, he'll steal bases. Lane Thomas, Luis Garcia, Stone Garrett. I think these guys make a lot of sense as mini stacks. I mean, even this Vargas dude, I mean, you could do a 7-8-1 stack or a 7-8-2 stack that will be unowned, has upside. I mean, these Nationals will run, and it's Ranger Suarez on the other side. I mean, it's double leverage too. I mean, Suarez isn't going to be the mega chalk of the slate, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in at 15% ownership. It's just the price, the matchup, and overall this lineup for the Nationals strikes out at just a 17% clip. So they're going to put the ball in play. They're not afraid to run. So I think they have some baked-in upside as well there with stolen bases. So I do kind of like this game on both sides, more for mini stacks for me personally, but expect the Phillies to get they're probably going to approach the Brewers, which we're about to go into next, is the highest owned stack overall on the slate. So let's do it, Hoop. Let's jump into the Brewers, the Reds. Great American Small Park, going to be 85 degrees. Obviously, this game just blew up yesterday. 18 runs, right? 10-8. The Reds literally looked like they were stealing from retail stores out there. I mean, they were running all over the field. Do they do it again here against Adrian Hauser? Ben Lively has actually been pretty good, but is he going to continue being Ben Lively? I mean, he's been a career not very good pitcher. We know the deal with him. Has his starts been pretty fluky? Hoop, do the Brewers get to him? And then talking the Reds as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just in on my Brewers. Love the Brewers in these spots. It's a phenomenal situation here, right around 90 again. Talked about it yesterday. It's very warm there. And this stadium doesn't even need the warm temperatures for runs to be produced. It's one of the most hitter-friendly environments in baseball. Total here sitting at 10.5. I'm in on the Brewers. Lineup's not out yet, but I'm assuming when it does come out, I'll be able to play just about anyone top to bottom on the Brewers side, and I plan on doing that today. Game yesterday was 10-8. We were all over it. We talked about it a ton. It was in our content. I wouldn't be surprised if similar situation again today. These teams are just going to score a lot of runs. So everyone's in play for me here. Assuming, we don't have the Brewers lineup yet, but I'm assuming I'll be able to play just about everyone top to bottom. You get creative with these stacks for sure. Then on the Red side, I mean, not a sexy lineup by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of guys in here that most people probably haven't heard of, but Hauser's not great, and the Reds get the benefit of this weather and this ballpark as well. And 90 degrees, a little bit of wind blowing out to right. It's just a perfect situation. You get a full punt right out of the gate here with Kevin Newman, 2.5K. Nice thing about him, second base and third base eligible. And then a guy like India at 5.2K. Ownership could be in check there because of the price tag. Come down, you can play Tyler Stevenson at catcher, 4K, Fraley, Steer, I'll play just about anyone here on both sides. This game, I'll be all over like I was yesterday. It makes a ton of sense. Just so many things working in this game's favor that I love it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. One of the best, if not the best, hitting conditions. Very good hitters park as well. That's kind of why I'm off both of these pitchers. I know Adrian Hauser is checking out decent on our starting pitcher ranks, which over here at SHIPITNation.com have been on fire. Might lower my interest a little bit in the Reds, just more of a trust the rankings but not play the pitcher kind of thing. Maybe the Reds just struggle a little bit here. They do have very healthy implied run total, 5.11. Going to steal bases too. Very cheap lineup overall. Jonathan India is on fire right now. Kevin Newman there, 2,500 leading off. Will Benson hit a bomb, 2,200. Overall, I think these guys make some sense, but my interest is definitely on the Brewers side. And that's not a homer call. Obviously, you guys know I don't play the Brewers too often, but when they're guaranteed ninth inning at bats, they're in a very good hitter's park. That's why I like the Brewers at home too, right? Very good hitter's park. No different here than in Cincinnati, one of the best on the slate. Christian Yelich. Keep an eye out. Abraham Toro, if he cracks the lineup, I love him too. The dude crushes right-handed pitching. I think he makes a ton of sense. But overall, I mean, up and down this lineup, you can make some sense. Joey Weimer down there has power, very good batter's eye as well. I mean, 2,400. I think he makes a ton of sense. He'll steal bases too. Bryce Terang will steal bases. Owen Miller will steal bases. Yelich will steal bases. So you got stolen base power upside in this lineup here. And overall, it's a very affordable stack. And you can kind of – there's expensive pitchers hoop that we want to play. You can 5-stack these Brewers and go double spend pitcher if you want and still have money to spend on your mini stack, your 3-man, your 2-man, expensive one-off. So overall, I love this game on both sides of this game, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Let's jump into the next game here. Game that I don't have a ton of interest in because I do think both pitchers are decent here. Toronto heading into New York to face the Mets. Kikuchi, Senga. Obviously, we talked on Senga. I saw Hofgoat, as I like to say in the chat, mentioned Kikuchi, having a little interest in him. But these Blue Jays hoop, they might be sneaky here against Senga, and this could be a buy low spot a little bit here. Senga, we've seen him getting blown up. Right, he starts walking guys, and you got to come back with fastballs against Vlad and Bo Bichette, Matt Chapman, Varsho. Things could go south in a hurry. Blue Jays will be unowned. They, on paper, have one of the best rosters in the entire MLB. Made a bunch of changes here, guaranteed ninth inning at bats. Do you have any interest in them as a low-owned stack? And talk on the Mets.
To answer your question, no, I don't have any interest in the Blue Jays. I mean, they're a team that they've pissed me off all season long. Last season, loved playing the Blue Jays, had a lot of success playing them. Just have not gotten the job done in really good spots this season. If they beat me, they beat me. I just can't stand playing this fucking team. It's super annoying. So going to be off them today, and it's easy because the matchup is not great against Senga. But I do get it. Like you said, he's showing that he can have bad outings. I'm just not going to do it on this slate. On the Mets side, one-offs, maybe 3-man. You can play Pete Alonso pretty much whenever you want. I guess the one thing is I don't hate this lineup. I mean, they threw together a pretty good lineup against a lefty with Pham, Kana, Lindor, Alonso, Escobar, Marte. They put together a pretty darn good lineup here, I'd say, for this matchup. But I don't know if I can get behind it. It would just probably be like a 3-man stack for me. The total has come up in this game a little bit. It was at 8. Now it's up to 8.5. So if you're looking to make the case, that's how you do it. But definitely no Blue Jays, maybe just one-offs or 3-man Met stacks. And that's it here.
Yeah. Hoff in the chat said you like Kikuchi, not Kikuchi. So I'm there with you there, Hoff. Nice little Sunday humor. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you being a member over here at SHIPIT Nation. And stay tuned. NHL rolls around. I might have my guy on a show or a couple. A little tag team approach. Hofbrau making an appearance on the SHIPIT Nation channel. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, Stanley Cup Finals going on right now. We appreciate you. Let's jump into this next game, and I think this is a pretty quick speed-em-up game. We got the Athletics implied team total 2.7 facing the chalk pitcher on the slate and Sandy. On the flip side, the Marlins have a pretty healthy implied run total, but I'm not seeing it personally. Are you seeing something I'm missing here, Hoop? I think this is a cross-off game, but what do you see here?
Yeah, I'm on the Marlins. They're on the core report, GPP core report yesterday. Got the job done mostly from one bat. Luis Arraez just goes off and gets 5 hits and does everything, but they put up runs. I'm going to go back to him here. I mean, should be pretty unowned. The one thing I don't like, Soler not in the lineup, a little bit of a downgrade. But, man, the Oakland pitching staff sucks. They're going to be unowned. I can make the case for most of these guys. Like, guys I wouldn't play in this lineup, definitely Gurriel is just like an annoying guy to be like in the middle batting 5th. But I can, make the case for most of these other guys. So I will have some Marlins. It's a similar situation. I don't know, it was one of the teams earlier where it's not, especially if you're doing 150 teams or 20 teams, it's not going to take much. If you're doing 20 teams and you do one Marlin stack, you're probably already over the field for 150. If you do, 5 to 10% Marlin stacks, you're way over the field. So I will have some just because I think they're like unowned today, but definitely no athletics bats for me.
Yeah, personally, athletics, I'm out on them. I'm not going to do it. I'd just rather just not play Sandy, go elsewhere. It's not like I'm going to double leverage it with a team that's implied to score under 3 runs. And on the flip side, I mean, Marlins is your typical Little League baseball team, right? They're going to go out there. They're going to hit singles. They're going to hit doubles. I just don't think they have the upside to win a 10-game slate personally as a stack. So I'm just not going to do it, right? You're looking for home runs. You want those big scores. Could they get there? Yeah, they could. But they're going to need some stolen bases. They're going to need to go like Arraez did yesterday or the day before, right? 5 for 5, stuff like that. And I would just rather, in a sport that's as high variance as baseball, I would rather just attack some of these teams that can hit bombs and not do it with a Little League program like the Marlins. Not to say that they're bad players, but how many home runs are they hitting outside of Soler, right? They're not launching bombs, Hoop, and that's what I'm looking for here on
today.
The side. So next game for me, we got the Tigers, your Detroit Tigers, Hoop. Sorry, you can't go to the Tigers game here because it's in Chicago, but 4 implied run total just about for the Tigers. On the flip side, these White Sox have a very, very healthy implied run total. I think they make a lot of sense against Matthew Boyd. I'm not a Matthew Boyd believer by any means. Where are you going in this one, Hoop?
Yeah, I'm Kopech in a big way. We talked about it when we discussed the pitchers. Not going to really play the Tigers. I mean, the only bat, assuming Baddoo still has a good lineup spot, sure, you can play him for cheap, but not really going anywhere else. On the White Sox side, I mean, just been a frustrating team. And yesterday, same thing, just frustrating team. Like, to stack, to play on a consistent basis. I do like Berger batting second, 3.3K, third base eligible. I think he makes a lot of sense. Jimenez is still cheap, batting fourth, 4.4K. Andrew Vaughn, 3.7. I'll play them. I'm not going to endorse them as one of my top stacks just because it's been frustrating all season long with them. The ballpark should be good here. Matthew Boyd has not been good this season. So I will play them, but again, it's been a very frustrating ride if you've been on the White Sox all season long. Just let's get a quick update here on the subscriber numbers. We are now at, damn, you guys are getting the job done. I like the response here. I mean, we started 669, which, like you said, it's a nice number, but 695 is a little bit better. We're at 695, so 5 to go to get the home run calls here at the end from myself and my guy Nade. So appreciate the support. Definitely appreciate the support. Also hit that like button. Helps us out a ton. You guys are the best, man. Best in the industry. Love you guys.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, a little foreshadow. We'll have our regular segment, but for the special plays, I'll give a 2-man, even a 3-man stack, and it might be in this game here that I think all hit bombs tonight against Matthew Boyd. So we'll save that for the end. I won't talk on the White Sox, but I do like the White Sox 3-man, 5-man stack. I'm not a Boyd believer. On the Tiger side, I can't do it. I'm not chasing the kill Baddoo or any of that. I mean, he is 2,700, does have some power, but Kopech is my number 1 pitcher on the slate, so I don't see the need to attack someone that I'm kind of pushing the chips in on. Next game for us, Hoop, Cleveland heads into Minnesota, and you might have a little bit more interest in my guy McKenzie. I know there's some unknown there, but no Buxton in the lineup, and you got Mr. Donovan Solano hitting cleanup in this lineup, followed by Max Kepler, Kirilloff is batting second. I mean, you got Michael Taylor at the bottom, Ryan Jeffers, Kyle Farmer, Willie Castro. Doesn't shock me here as a world beater lineup here. And McKenzie has a lot of upside, I think, personally. So definitely opened my eyes a little bit to Mr. $8,100 Tristan McKenzie. Obviously, there's some unknown there, so it is risky in terms of pitch count. But he can go out there 5-6 innings. I think he has K upside on the slate and should be unowned. So personally, for bats, I don't have a ton of interest in the Guardians and none really on the Twins side here against McKenzie. But do you see something I don't?
Yeah, from a hitting perspective, clear fade, 7.5 total, lowest total on the slate. I have no interest in bats here. We'll keep it simple.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Again, I like both pitchers in this game. Joe Ryan, not to say that I'm going to play Joe Ryan just because I think I learned a lesson yesterday with Sonny Gray, who just don't play pitchers. I don't care who they are against these Guardians because I watched far too many 1 and 2 counts. They hit the ball off the handle through the hole, something like that, and I'm just sitting there tilting my face off watching the game because that's a lot of K. A lot of Ks were left on the table there from very pitcher friendly ball hitters counts. So overall, very frustrating. Next game, we're going to Coors Field 2.0 in Kauffman Stadium. The Rockies are on the road heading into Coors Field 2.0 to face the Royals. We got Brady Singer, who I have interest on, and on the other side, we got Free Money Freeland, but he's not at home. Where miraculously, he's a much better pitcher personally, in my opinion, at home, which is crazy to say in Coors Field. Both very healthy implied run totals here. Hoop, you got any interest on either side?
Definitely not the Rockies. We talked about Singer. We're both in on him. We like him obviously even more because of this Rockies lineup. So I'm off the Rockies, in on Singer. On the Royals side, they've been a frustrating team, man. Like, played them the last couple nights, just haven't busted through. I don't love the lineup today that they're throwing out there against Freeland. Bobby Witt, phenomenal play. Sell Perez if you can get up there. But, man, I don't like this lineup, at all. So they dropped down my list quite a bit. It's going to be more just 3-man stacks on the Royal side. It gets ugly at the bottom, too. I mean, this lineup just sucks, man. It just really sucks. I wish I could be on the Royals. I wish they would, roll out something a little bit different here against Freeland, but just going to be 3-man stacks for me and one-offs on the Royals side. I don't think I'm full stacking this Royals lineup. It looks like dog shit.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you a little bit here. Freddie Furman is a cheap guy down there at the catcher position. Obviously, you got to choose between him or Salvi Perez. Personally, obviously, Salvi Perez always gets ownership, especially at the catcher position. He's got home run upside, right? And that's kind of what you're looking at the catcher position. But 5,300, you can save almost $3,000 and go down to Freddie Furman, who does have power as well. Especially in the last 30 days, he's hit left-handed pitching very well. And even at home, he's got a expected ISO over 200. So I think he makes some sense there down in the 8 hole at 2,800. Michael Massey's been good. And he can hit lefties. So I don't hate that. He's pretty cheap down there. But overall, this lineup just lacks upside. It just lacks the power upside that you need. Bobby Witt is probably my favorite play in the entire slate. The dude just steals bases. He mashes left-handed pitching. And I'm not afraid of Mr. Kyle Freeland throwing balls in there over the plate to Bobby Witt sitting there in the 2 hole. So I love Bobby Witt at the shortstop position today. No surprise. I always do. He will make my core. I just always play this guy against a left-handed pitcher, and the stolen base upside that's baked in is very nice as well. And on the Rocky side, zero interest. I do like Singer, so quick fade for me there. Next game, Hoop, we got the Angels, which do have their confirmed lineup out now, facing JP France, who we both had some interest in. These Astros have an implied run total approaching 5. So pretty solid for the slate. Griffin Canning is no ace by any means. So you have interest in these Astros, but overall, they're just a very, very tough team for me. They're just very frustrating. I never can get them right, but are you going here?
I'll be on the Astros a little. On the Angel side, it's tough. I like France. Obviously, they every single night the Angels lineup's going to have upside. When you're featuring Ohtani and Trout as your top 2 hitters, there's always going to be built-in upside in the lineup. I probably won't have a ton today, On the Astros side, though, yeah, I'm going to be on the Astros against Canning. I don't think Canning's very good. The one thing I will say, though, about this lineup, it's a lineup where I just want to focus on the main guys. And, I know that's going to be the popular way to stack the Astros, but I just can't play some of these guys at the bottom. You get Dubon leading off, cheap, 3.5K, second base and shortstop eligible. So he becomes a really solid play on this slate. Yordan Alvarez is an absolute beast. Love the guy. I'll definitely have exposure to him. Tucker, 5.1K. I just want to play the good guys, the good bats in this lineup. I don't want to mess with the shitty ones towards the bottom. So in on the Astros, out on the Angels.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Obviously, you can play Ohtani and Trout any slate, batting 1-2 in this lineup. Sure, but overall, I just don't want to attack France. But it's hard to argue with those two. Any slate they're on, obviously you're paying for them 6,200, 6,400 there. But guaranteed ninth inning at bats. They could get 5 at bats here if the Angels are starting to do stuff. Pretty much guaranteed 4 at bats here. On the Astros side, for me, I do have a little bit more interest in some of these cheaper guys at the back half of this lineup, particular Jake Myers. I talked about him quite a bit as of late, and he's been good. He has power to hit it over. He's 2,700 there. Again, not afraid of Canning. Chas McCormick, Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez. So kind of more of that back half here, I think, makes some sense. Obviously, we know Bregman. Bregman always has the upside there at the third base position. But I kind of like this back half a little bit more of the back to the middle, down to like the 8 spot there. Probably don't get to Yainer Diaz too much there at the catcher position, but I mean, he's 2,900. And if you're stacking these Astros up, I think it makes some sense. So I like the middle to back half of this lineup a little bit for the Astros, and definitely think they make some sense for a 5-man stack, but I prefer them more as a mini stack kind of in your camp overall. Hoop, let's we got a couple games left. Let's jump next into this Mariners-Texas game. Texas dropped a couple touchdowns yesterday, right? Blew up the slate, and they get Bryce Miller now, who's been good. But, again, it's a right-handed pitcher against this Texas team at home. Do you have any interest in the Mariners against Eovaldi? Any interest in these Rangers going right back to the ship with them?
Yeah, not going to play the Mariners. On the Rangers side, man, they are an interesting team. I think I'd have more interest. I think I'd play them more if Bryce Miller was going to be more popular. Like, Bryce Miller is the forgotten guy in this top range, so it's not like you're even creating that leverage situation. And to go and pick on what appears to be a pretty good pitcher doesn't make much sense. So if he was higher owned, I think I'd have more interest in the Rangers. The other thing, man, it's like you're paying top end price for the Rangers. Like, you are not getting any breaks. Now, that is going to keep their ownership down, don't get me wrong, but Semien 6K, Seager 5.9, Nate Lowe comes in good at 4.6, and then Adolis Garcia 5.6, Jung 5.3. Man, they're tough to stack, and those are the guys that you want to play. You want to play those ones. So I guess for me, I'm going to be out on the Rangers because Miller's not going to be all that popular, and man, the Rangers bats are super expensive. So nothing for me in this game here.
Yeah, I will. Got some breaking news after this game for you, Hoop. I will pass on the Mariners here. I like Eovaldi quite a bit. He's my favorite pitcher up top if spending all the way up. On the Rangers side, I do think Adolis, Garcia, Josh Young, Jonah Heim makes some sense. Obviously, Marcus Semien's on like a 21 or 22 game hitting streak, hit a bomb yesterday too, or the day before. So you can always play him. But yeah, you need to take out a second mortgage to stack this team up. And Bryce Miller has shown some signs of being a quality pitcher here. Pretty good K rate, pretty good expected ERA numbers. Does get hit hard a little bit with a little over league average in terms of barrel rate, but overall not my favorite spot in the slate. And Hoop, we did it. We're at 703 subscribers. So let's do a little mid segment here. Give your play, and then I got a 2-man stack for the people, even a possible 3-man middle of the show, and then we'll go to our normal segment at the end as well, like always.
Yeah, great, man. Great response here from the people. Love to see that. Appreciate the support in growing this channel. I'm going to my guy who I think just puts up a monster game today. And, man, the play of the day for me, Rowdy Tellez. You're going to need Tellez today. He's hitting at least 1, maybe 2. He's going to have the monster game. So I want to keep the momentum going. We had Keegan Bradley yesterday for round 3, goes off. 7 under. Mr. Tellez is getting us a home run plus other things to go along with it. So Tellez is the guy you need today.
Yeah, man, we love that. I love the Brewers stack, so I'm there in lockstep. But I'm going to actually another team. I already brought it up. Don't worry, this is not going to be my home run call at the end like we always do. But I'm going to give you a little 2-4 stack here from the White Sox. I think Jake Berger and Eloy Jimenez both.
I hope.
Off Matthew Boyd here. Little 2-man stack. You can add in Robert or Anderson. Make it a 5-man stack if you want. But I think at least 2 of those 4 right there hit 1 bomb at least against Matthew Boyd here. So I like that quite a bit there. And I'm not seeing a ton of ownership on these guys either. So I always love my guy Jake Berger, and him hitting in the 2-hole against a left-handed pitcher. Sign me up for that. So love those guys. Eloy Jimenez finally back. I think him and Eloy both go long for sure today. So Hope, let's jump back in, finish this slate out. Next game, not a ton of interest for me personally. Baltimore in San Francisco. Descalfini, Tyler Wells on the mound. Wells has been decent. Descalfini, we know the drill with him, but he hasn't been terrible by any means. Pretty low total here. Not the greatest weather over on the West Coast, obviously. I like kind of targeting these Midwest games that are 80-plus degrees right now. Where are you going here if you have any interest? But overall, I think it's a pretty quick speed-up game.
Well, it's going to be even quicker because it's not on the slate, so it makes it pretty easy to break down.
Good call. Good call. Our lineups page I'm looking at over here does have all the games. So, hey, we don't just cover you for the main slate. We do have all the games over here. So good call. And well, that does it for the main slate. Overall, let's jump into our standard segment. Obviously, we gave the people your play of the day, but let's see if you got another home run call and then your sneaky pitcher take for the people here.
Yeah, the pitcher take is going to be – I'm going to go – go JP France. I like him. I think, he goes not overlooked, but a lot of people are going to focus on that top tier, then come down to the cheapie. So JP France, I think, is a guy that could kind of be the one that you might need on the winner. I'm going to do a sneaky. Like I've said Tellez. I think you're going to need Tellez. Sneaky home run call from the Reds. I'm going to go with Spencer Steer, first base, 4.3K.
Okay. I like that. Spencer Steer, always good.
You're going to like the Twins lineup is about to get even weaker. They just scratched Carroll off. So, man, you might be all in on Mr. McKenzie here.
Yeah, and that's actually where I'm going to go. I like 2 guys here as low-owned pitchers. I already talked about Brady Singer, so I like him if you need the salary to go down to him. I think he posts 14, 15 DraftKings points, right around that range against this lineup. And up at that middle tier, might be a pivot off of Kopech. You can pair them together. He's $400 cheaper, $8,100 Tristan McKenzie. I get it. He's scary. He's only made 3 rehab starts, but I think against this lineup, no Kirilloff, who's been solid, no Buxton. Overall, I'm not afraid to play pitchers against this Twins team. I think Tristan McKenzie can go out there and get the job done at very low ownership. And then my home run call, no surprise, he's not going to be super low owned by any means, but he might be lower owned than he should be. I'm going against Mr. Kyle Freeland. I'm going in the 2-hole, Mr. Bobby Witt. I think he steals 2 bases and hits a bomb today. You're going to need him. $5,500. You got to pay for it, but you got some cheap pitchers. You got the cheap Brewers stack. He's easy to afford. I think he hits at least 1 home run today. That's going to do it for us. Hit the like button on the way out if you guys have not already. We appreciate it. Again, SHIPITNation.com, $59 a month, $5.99 does get you access to all of our main sports, MLB, PGA, obviously the 2 going on right now. The PGA content's been incredible. Hoop and Tambo are the GOATs at PGA. MLB, we have cores, we have tools, we have everything. We have shows 6 days a week. Have you covered for every slate, even like I said, hosting a show, covering games that aren't on the show, but we do have the tools that show those games as well. And then obviously once NHL rolls back around, NBA comes back around, NFL, get in now, $59 a month, $5.99 does get you access to all of our premium product over here at SHIPITNation.com. But Hope, it was a good show. Hopefully it's a good weekend for everyone. We end it with some money here. But for myself, Nades, for Hoop, we will ship it later.